Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
Hey guys, Mike and John, Coffee and the Bull. I want to say thank y'all for taking a moment out of your day and watching us again. Give us a little bit of your day and enjoy this episode. We're going to be talking about, so just so a lot of y'all don't know, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. It is, in my opinion, one of the best holidays ever created.
I agree.
I've got some friends who's they're Christmas lovers or whatever. They do the how do I word this? Sacrilegious
Yeah.
Christmas decorations starting in October.
So you're gonna get mad at me, but I still think it's funny that you guys want to go out November 1st, start putting up your Christmas decorations, and Mary doesn't even know she's about to have Jesus. Like, come on.
I don't think you need to reread that story. But
What do you mean?
so we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving or Turkey Day Shenanigans is the name of the episode today.
Correct.
So and it's going to be we're going to kind of beat around the bush a little, or not beat around the bush. We're going to be bouncing around all over the place. And we're going to start off, Thanksgiving. Obviously, we all went to school, and you get the story of the Indians and the Pilgrims, and
Right.
It's just, they come together and had this big massive meal. And ate on it for like 95 days or whatever the actual number is.
Oh, you need to reread
I think
that story.
I think it might be a couple less than 90 days. But something with corn and fish. I don't know.
Yeah.
You plant the corn and the fish and
Right. Get a turkey.
Yeah, you get a turkey. Ta-da! So that's why Benjamin Franklin likes turkeys.
How?
But anyway,
What?
Anyway, so we're familiar with the story of Thanksgiving. I mean, it gets beat into us as a kid.
Right.
I remember as a kid, I hated Thanksgiving. When I say I hated it, like I absolutely hated it. I love my mother to death. Okay, but my mom, when I was a young kid, could not cook a turkey to save her life. And it could.
I don't support this message.
I will say this, that it might be that because I was a kid and it wasn't a hot dog, I didn't like it. That may be the thing.
Okay.
But
okay. Because I
I
love
feel
your
like
mom.
if my mom could have cooked a turkey correctly, or made it good, then my dad wouldn't have had to learn how to fry a turkey, because that changed our Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I love your mom to death. I can't imagine your dad knows how to cook.
He's not a cook. He'll fry a turkey. Okay, he'll fry a turkey.
He's got that?
That's what I'm giving him.
Give him one in the bag.
He's not
All
a
right.
cook. My mom cooks, but she just can't cook turkey. Or at least I don't remember her cooking a turkey like from the time I was like 12.
Your mom made me a cold cut sandwich, and I felt like it was made.
She pulled hamburger sandwich meat out of a
Yeah,
pack.
and I feel like it was made by
So-
angels. So
When I was a kid, I hated Thanksgiving because it was you had typically this dry turkey, and we always did the thing where we went to a lot of family members' houses. And so it was like, hey, you had our dinner, then we had to go to this person's house, and
Right.
visit this person, that person, or whatever, and so then you're eating the cold leftovers,
Right.
which is evidently it's a Thanksgiving tradition now. You have to eat Thanksgiving food for 6 weeks,
Ugh.
or
I don't think that's-
the groundhog will see itself again or something. I don't
right,
know.
I don't think that's a tradition though. Like, cause my dad was like, I paid for that whole turkey by the pound, and we're gonna eat every ounce of
Right.
it. And that dude had it down to a science. Like, love my dad to death. Give him a barbecue grill, the guy's a god. You give him a stove, and it's like, what can I take out of the refrigerator, put into one pot, and call it dinner?
Right.
And with a fancy name called goulash. He had me convinced that was French for like the longest time. I was little. So not yesterday little. So he would take the turkey, and it was like the first 2 days, it was like actually eating, parts of the turkey. By the third day, you were eating slices of turkey in your sandwiches. And on day 5, which I'm positive the turkey was bad, he was taking it and putting it in a
refrigerator.
Right. He would put it in a shredder, and then make like, okay, so think
Like
tuna
a paper
fish.
shredder?
No, like the processor, the food processor. That like shredded it into like the context of like tuna fish, and then he would make turkey sandwiches, like tuna fish sandwiches, but it would be with turkey meat instead of tuna. Yeah. He was pretty good, pretty crafty with a turkey.
So
He just, pew!
yeah, I'm not even going to touch that. I've never met him, but I'm not going to treat Mr. Bill like that.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a
But
nice
I think
guy.
one of the other thing I hated as a kid growing up with Thanksgiving dinners was somebody decided somewhere that we're going to take a bunch of cranberries and make this gelatized thing where it could be
You hate
Jello.
cranberry sauce?
Huh?
You hate cranberry sauce?
First off, that's not a sauce. That's like
That's just what the name is.
congealed. It's not Jello. All right.
Look, don't get me wrong. The concept is disgusting. The fact that I'm taking out a butter knife and slicing off a
Right.
piece of
You
this
pour it out of a
gelatinous.
can. And you
Right,
That's,
right.
That's all it does on the plate. No.
It's one of my favorite parts. Not the favorite.
I'm
not the
I'm
favorite.
I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of it.
Dude, well, you know what? I'll eat your half.
So you can have the whole thing. Matter of fact, if you come to the house, we're probably not going to have it.
I'll bring some. You know what I hate about it? The food that I hate the most? And it's weird because it's the food I love the most, but I hate what this new age mind frame of people have done. It was a lot not to say the things I was trying not to say. Deviled eggs. It's a simple concept. It's literally the egg yolk, mustard, mayo. Add a little paprika for a dash of pizzazz.
Little
All right.
razzle dazzle.
Yeah, I can even let go the handful of people that throw on like a little relish in there. Like, not my thing, but I'm still gonna eat that egg. But these people nowadays that are like, we made ranch bacon deviled eggs, we made jalapeno deviled. I'm like, stop, just stop, leave the egg alone. There was nothing wrong with it to begin with. Why do we have to mess with this? Why are we adding things to the egg? Just leave the egg alone. Just leave it alone. I get mad about it. I really get mad about it. So I'm not going to give any specifics because this person will be offended regardless if they know that I'm talking about them. This person put pickles in the deviled egg. Not relish, not
Like whole
dill
pickles?
pickles. No, sweet pickles. Sweet pickles in the deviled eggs.
It's the same as relish.
Relish is dill.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
they
is.
make sweet relish.
Yeah, that's not what I meant.
I think
Yeah.
you need to research your pickles. Anyway, before he completely gets us, canceled for being stupid.
That's not a thing.
Guys, we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving today.
Right.
And it's going to be just there's a lot of stress that goes into the holiday, and it's a holiday where we're all like, oh, I'm thankful for my family, I'm thankful for my great job, I'm thankful for this, that. A lot of times, I hated when growing up they'd ask, hey, go around the room and say what you're
thankful for, right?
And
Don't say video games.
everybody
don't say
said,
this.
you knew not to be truthful on that. And
Right,
don't get me
right.
wrong. Just because I'm not saying I wasn't thankful for my family or whatever, but as a 6-year-old kid, that probably wasn't the highlight. It's
Right.
probably my Legos or something like that.
Right.
But what I found was there's so much stress with this holiday. One, it's being forgotten, and I don't like it.
No.
I feel like we need to save the Turkey Day. Get that put on a T-shirt or something like that.
Right. Not save the date. Save the turkey
Yeah,
day.
save the Turkey Day. But there's a lot of stress with it because you're expected to have this this mindset or this fake sense of emotion.
Right.
I'm thankful for this or that, and a lot of stuff. A lot of people aren't thankful for their family. They're not thankful for their job or whatever because they may have a crappy job or they may their family may just be dysfunctional. Some of them don't have family. We know a lot of guys in that boat where hey, come Thanksgiving, they're not calling anybody.
Right. Most of us know though that those are the guys, and we're gonna be like, hey man, swing by.
Right.
Come on
pull
by.
over and stuff.
Not the stupid Friendsgiving thing. Such a slap in the face to the turkey. I didn't use any bad words there.
I don't know. So I've got to where Thanksgiving is one of mine and my wife's favorite holidays. Like, I like getting people over. I like everybody's able to have some good food, a good time, and we actually sit around it and we actually talk, which is an unforeseen concept in today's world. I think that's why Thanksgiving is kind of getting pushed to the side.
Yeah.
Because it's getting overshadowed by the commercialism of Christmas and stuff like that, and that's a whole different topic. We may get on that. I don't know, but
if you all haven't guessed, this is more so what we hate about Thanksgiving as our favorite holiday. This is really where we've gone with this.
Right. We're saying what we're not thankful for.
Right. Right.
know,
The things that everybody overlooks in their life, as far as what Turkey Day was when we were kids versus what it is now, because as we know, society's changed. The way that people think has changed. You've got the Friendsgiving debacle. You've got the everybody's moved away. The old school way of life where you went back to your wife's family. Most men get married and then they get close to their wife's family, and the traditions have broken down as to what they were to what they are now. And so we're more leaning towards the things that changed that we envision as what Thanksgiving is, and it's all about what we're not thankful for.
Right,
The
right.
changes we don't accept. I'm not happy about them.
well, for me, the first couple years of our marriage, the holidays were always kind of not. I'm not saying they're the worst, and
Right.
this is just it's. I don't mean any. I'm not throwing any shade at anybody or anything, but it was just it was stressful for us because you had to go to my parents' house. We had to go to her parents' house. We had to go. If a friends got together, did something.
Right.
Because this one didn't like that one or whatever. You had to fit everybody in the schedule. So by the
Right.
time the day was done, man, you're driving up to the house. You're trying not to pass out as you're driving.
Right, 'cause you got the
done-
turkey coma, you got the
yeah,
exhaustion of
you got
driving all
that,
day.
You're just mentally stressed out. And he pull up into the driveway, like, oh, I don't want to do that again. Well, stand by, boo boo, because
Right.
in about 30 days,
You gonna
you're
be
doing it all
spending
over
Christmas.
again. But then you're going to add presents on top of it,
Right.
Um,
I think this is just a weird off the wall thought process with it, but Halloween is always October 31st. That never changes. Christmas is always December 25th. That never changes. Veterans Day is always November 11th. Never changes. Thanksgiving is the third Thursday of November, or some crap like that. It's never a set day. Like
I
always,
don't think it's the third Thursday. I think it's the fourth Thursday.
you might be right. You 100%
Oh,
could be right.
I may be wrong.
I don't
I don't know why it changes every day or every year.
Right, but I think that might be what it is. Like it's not so it's easily forgettable. Like a good friend of mine, she's having Thanksgiving at her house, and her mom and her family and everything coming to eat with her and her husband, and she's like came in and she was gonna help me paint some stuff today, and she's like, "Oh crap, I just realized Thanksgiving's this week is coming up. I've only got 4 days." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. One more week. You got some time." And she's like, "No, it's the 25th every year." And I'm like, No, it's not. I know it's not, because I pre-plan in my brain when I buy my eggs, when I buy the turkey. Like, no. Because I love Turkey Day. Okay, so like last year, we were going to do our turkey off, but we ended up finding out later on that we weren't going to have as many people show up, and 2 turkeys for us was going to be
Right.
a little
My turkey
ridiculous.
was going to be good. Yours wasn't.
Right, but so we stayed with my turkey that I cooked all day because his was going to be good. Speaking of which, I enjoyed that. That was not anything crazy, and that's what I think that the tradition needs to get back to is a very small get together or one location. I'm with you on that whole like drive around everywhere. Like, it's not like it used to be.
Well, you try to include everybody, and people get their feelings hurt, and I think that adds a lot of stress to the actual holiday for everybody. Because I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who looks at it from a realistic set of glasses and
Right.
says, "Oh, I don't want to do this."
Right.
It's not that you don't like your family. You're just you've worked all week, or all year,
Right.
and so I worked for one company one time. They had us work. We were doing some warehouse stuff, and they decided they were going to give us a turkey, which I thought was, it's a gesture. They didn't have to do it. I'll give them that.
Right.
They did not have to give. I think it was like 1,000 employees working there at the time. They didn't have to give us turkeys. That being said, I also had to work Thanksgiving Day. So
Right.
when am I supposed to cook this turkey? That you gave me. So
Right.
it's one of those things where there's a lot of stress, and especially I think parents in general kind of start stressing out about everything because
Right.
like you look at it right now, like right now your dollar's not stretching that far. We're not
Yep.
going to get into this big political or economics class, but with the way you focus on spending everything as frugally as possible now.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, I've got to get a turkey. When we do Thanksgiving, we do turkey, we do ham. There'll be a mac and cheese. There'll be some type of green bean casserole. There'll be turkey dressing. sweet potatoes, all kinds of pies and desserts,
Right.
cookies and all this other stuff. The occasional hobo will bring like a can of what's that? Oh, the cranberry stuff you was talking about.
I hate you.
The stuff that nobody likes.
I wish your parents didn't
you'll
have
all,
twins.
you'll have all that going on. Well, what happens is typically one or two people wind up footing that bill. You get a lot of people. Hey, I can bring some bread. Yeah, thanks for
Thanks
bringing,
for the Hawaiian rolls.
Thanks for bringing the bread.
Yeah.
But
Seriously, bring the Hawaiian rolls.
yeah,
Those are so
have
good.
the Hawaiian rolls.
Right.
Anyway, but you're adding the financial strain of everything on top of. I know the first year I had to do it, I didn't have the first clue on how to cook a turkey.
Right.
And if you Google how to cook a turkey,
It's not helpful.
Thanksgiving Day is not the day to do that,
Right.
because you got to decipher how many people who decided I'm going to blog about turkeys don't have a clue on how to cook turkeys.
Right. Because the number one question on Thanksgiving Day is how long does this pounds of turkey take to cook? And if you ever Google it, get bored, Google it. You'll have 4 different answers as the top 4 answers, and you're like, bro, I'm gonna give everybody salmonella.
Well, see, and that was my thing, man. The first Thanksgiving that we hosted at our house, because we kind of reached a point where like we're not driving everywhere. Y'all can come over, great. If not, it is what it is. Like I'm not being mean, but it was so stressful, man. And I remember my wife had asked me, she's like, "Look, will you cook the turkey?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I can cook a turkey." I didn't have a clue on how to cook a turkey. And so I took it, I did a brining method, did all this other stuff, put it in the oven, and we put the little poppers,
Right, the old plastic white circle with the red circle in it.
I had seasoned over that, and my seasoning had stuck to it, and so I keep opening the thing, popper's not popping. I'm like, all right, we're good, that turkey's getting darker and darker and darker. And I'm like, I don't know if this thing's working. I pulled the turkey out and I touched the popper and went, and it shoots off. That sucker, it was like 195 internal temp or something like that. Like it was way past what it needed to be.
I fried a turkey.
Right. So it was one of those things where, but there's, even if you don't have, financial stress, you don't have all this other stuff going on, just the fact that, hey, I'm responsible for the turkey. If I mess the turkey up,
right,
you ruined Thanksgiving.
Do you ever wonder like how your parents remembered that sort of stuff? Like right now, you couldn't.
So I'm going to refer you back. I know where you're going. I'm going to refer you back to my prior statements when I said my mom couldn't cook a turkey to save her life.
So what I'm
when
getting
I was
at,
young, my mom was not the best cook. Like she was learning, and I'll give it to her. She was learning and she was learning what she could.
I mean, she had you guys young. She's still in her early 40s.
She was still too young to actually be a good cook. She was not the grandma cook she is now.
So I always wondered that. Like, so every year, I still do it. And I cook a good turkey. I cook good food. I
always double check.
Yeah. I always double check. I always get on Google. I'm like, am I making sure there's a right temperature? What's turkey's temperature? But I knew, like, if my mom was still alive, okay, I could call her right now and be like, hey, Mom, how long do you cook the turkey for at this weight, in my oven? And my mom, out of like some sort of weird mad scientist, would be like, well, you're in South Louisiana, so you're going to want to put your oven probably 5 degrees hotter. It's going to take this.
Pressure
right.
Whatever they measure barometric pressure in.
And like in your head, you're like, I know you didn't have Google in the early 90s, so how did you remember all of that?
Bill told her.
Yeah, my dad probably did. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, I know their relationship pretty well. My dad probably went, honey, I would suggest. Because my daddy didn't tell my mama nothing. Right. That's the one thing about their relationship. I can promise you, my dad, as big a man as he is, the baritone in that dude's voice, the way he can command a room, he did not buck up to mama.
Right.
That was just not his... That wasn't his go-to. You didn't comment on my T-shirt.
I don't like it.
Why?
So, anyway, before we derail this thing again.
Sorry, my brain's all over the place.
Look
I'm thinking about turkey.
Like I like Thanksgiving, and obviously, I think Thanksgiving is just Christmas without the presents.
Right. No, 100% agree with that.
Christmas may be colder in some areas, maybe not here. It's going to be 85 degrees Christmas Day, I promise you.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that just like I've got a group of friends, and they decorate their house for Christmas like mid-October. If it's mid-October, they're late.
Right.
I honestly think they don't take their Christmas trees down. They might just wall over them. and
So-
then take the wall down.
Not to jump into the Christmas theme, but my ex-wife, her Uncle Joe, I love this dude to death because he's like the most redneck, ingenuitive guy. He cooks like a champ. His Christmas tree has a bag that goes around ornaments, lights, everything. It's on wheels. So like every year he just walks out, zips up the bag around it,
That's the
and
way to
wheels
do
it out. And I'm like,
I'm gonna be
bro,
honest with you. That's the way to do it because you start trying to pull all the decorations off of
Right,
all the hooks
right.
and everything else. It's like I don't want to do.
and the
this.
spin and the tree spins too. So
Right.
it's like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, bro, you
But
cheating in the right way.
so they love Christmas, and I'm not throwing any shade to them. They're childish. Take that
Yeah.
one.
Rookies.
But yeah, so they've got more than one Christmas tree, which for me is unheard of. Like, why do you have? I can see maybe one big Christmas tree and then like a little tiny one on the other side of the house, but I'm talking about like a handful of Christmas trees in their house, and they love it. And so you've got people like that on one end of the spectrum who they
Right.
love the holidays, but you got the other group that we gloss over a lot, and I think the history of our podcast, I'm kind of throwing a spitball here because we didn't really talk about this too much or at all. But the history of our podcast, we tend to look at things from a different vantage point than a lot of people do.
Right.
The holidays also, for a lot of people, represent a lot of heartache, a lot of
Right,
and
right.
a lot of sorrow and things like that. So, how do you navigate that? Where hey, you're trying to be excited, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who their table's not going to have the same loved ones there this year.
Right.
Or hey, there was a big rip in the family, and so they're just like, hey, I'm not going to go spend time with them. There's heartache on that side of it. So how do you think, if we could offer some type of help, that not help, but maybe advice that way, how do you navigate that?
Right. So, well, I mean, like last year, my grandpa died on Thanksgiving Day. He had a heart attack right before they ate Thanksgiving. So, as it's kind of like a double loss is the way I look at it, because not only did he pass away on Thanksgiving, he was the last patriarch of the traditions that my family would go to his home for Thanksgiving, and I can promise you they will not be going there this year.
Right.
But that's family strife and everything else that was going through it. And so my thing, majority of my life in the military, it was, I know a lot of these guys can't get leave. They can't go home. So my ex-wife, we would cook 2 turkeys and we'd invite, as many people over as we could, just because it was like, don't be alone during the holidays, because that's the worst thing you could
I
ever
think
do.
emotions are amplified during the holidays.
110%. And we talk about this every year. Every year, you and I, around Thanksgiving and Christmas, we talk about the people that take the final check out, and we talk about how the stressors of the finances and, your kid, really, really wanting this one thing,
Right.
and you just not being able to come through, whether it's, the finances or the store ran out or whatever it is. And so I think that the biggest thing that you can do in these times, when it's right around the corner and you're not going to be able to make whatever you can, I've always reverted back to when I was a little boy and my dad was in the military, and then when I got in the military, and even now, it's with divorces and custody and stuff like that. Holidays are when I make the holidays.
Right.
Because I'm the grown-up, My kids know, they're old enough, even the 6-year-old, she's smart enough to figure out when Thanksgiving is.
Right.
But we're working this Thanksgiving, so we're going to have our Thanksgiving the next day.
Right.
We're going to cook our turkey. We're going to do it. So I think that if we all step back for a second from that boiling pot of our life and our emotions and our, as especially as men, and we go, this is our pot of failure. This is where we put every mistake and everything. And a lot of our significant others don't realize we do that we categorize this special box that has every mistake, every woulda, coulda, shoulda, and all of that. We have that box somewhere in our brain. Don't always bring it up.
Right.
You don't really think about it until it's put into perspective. But if us guys could step aside, step into that vulnerable role to your significant other or family or whatever, and go, look, I've got stuff going on. I can't afford it right now. I can't, I got to work right now or whatever, and I can't do this holiday. and we step into the, why don't we do it Saturday? Let's
Right.
do our thing on this day, and you can come up with a million reasons why without actually having to acknowledge the real reason, which is emotionally or mentally or physically, you're not ready for it.
Mhm.
If we address it that way and say, look, I don't have the money for it now, but I get paid in 3 days. Let's do it in 3 days. Let's do it when I get paid. It'll be after that holiday. Everything's on sale. We can, you go shopping the day after Thanksgiving, you're not all there because that's Black Friday and that's when everybody wants to go do it. But if you think about it, 2 days after Thanksgiving, turkeys are like half off. That's when I buy 2 turkeys because I eat turkey, 3 times throughout the year because I love turkey. And so I think that if you just reschedule things and just tell your kids the truth in a way that they'll understand, like, hey, look, we're going to celebrate on this time because daddy's got to, work, or daddy's got to do some shifting around, or, in my case, I'm divorced and my kids will be with their grandmother and their mother for Thanksgiving. And so my goal or my intent is to be like, hey, look, daddy's got to work, so we're just going to shift our Thanksgiving a day over because who says we can't?
Right.
There's no rule to
I
it.
think that's where it gets back to the basic, hey, having a conversation. And
Yeah.
And people, and not saying you got to go super in depth with what you got going on and everything, but just, a conversation saying, hey, look, I can't do it this week. Can we move it to there? And you can give a small reason why or whatever. Obviously don't go, pull a kill your grandma type excuse,
Right.
But it's one of the things we're having a conversation because the goal is to have, like if I invite you over to my house,
Right, I want to talk to you.
for that holiday, I want you to be able to be there and enjoy
Right.
yourself. I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but also at the same time, when you talk about a massive feast like this, it's customary to bring something, So I understand that I don't have to tell you, hey, I need you to bring this. You're going to typically offer to bring something,
Right.
But if you can't afford it, then I don't want to put that burden on you.
Right.
And so it might be, hey, look, we're going to do it this day. Just show up,
Right.
And because I had I had a friend. His name was, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it now, but he was from Turkey. His name was Gökhan Goyman, and
Did you mispronounce that?
no, I think I said it pretty right. He'll probably say, no, it's Gökhan Goyman. And I'll be like, Gökhan Goyman, and he'll be like, no, Gökhan Goyman. He'll probably say something like that, where I don't pick up that I'm saying it wrong somehow.
Right. Yeah, roll the R. You added a G.
emphasis on a wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable somewhere. But
Syllable?
yeah, so wrong emphasis, yeah. So it's we invited him over to my house, and because obviously he's from Turkey, all of his family was over there.
You just assumed he liked
knew-
turkey.
No, we brought him over to the house, and he had a great time. He wasn't, you don't have to bring anything.
Right.
Just show up, have a good time, and my parents hadn't met him yet. We were doing it all at my parents' house. And they hadn't met him. They had no clue, and he just showed up, had a great time. Everybody had a great time with him, and I think that's how it needs to be. Where, hey, look, if you're trying to include somebody in it,
Don't put a burden on
don't put a burden on them. And because that's what happens a lot of times is you get the burdens. That's one of the biggest fights that me and my wife had was the burdens of the holidays. Because we got married while we were going through college, so obviously there's no money there. And honestly, we made a couple financial mistakes, so we're living beyond our means. So every time Christmas would come around, we were buying for nieces and nephews and some different people here, different people there, whatever. And so when it comes, hey, what do you want? Oh, I don't want anything. Let's just not give each other gifts this year, right?
Right.
And
Tell me
and so
you
hold
fell
on.
for that.
It's so much worse. This is where I'm gonna get hate mail, all right, and send it. But for years it was like we would say that, and we still right beforehand go do something small, right? So I didn't fall into the trap. Right?
Oh, I was waiting for you to be like, I fell for it. I didn't buy her
but-
anything.
The year that same year that we had the dog shit story,
Right,
took
right.
place, where I didn't have a job, didn't have money, like we were taking and living in a camper, trying to sell a house, and all this other stuff, and it come across, hey, what do you want to do? What do we want to get each other for Christmas? Well, we're living in a camper, space was limited. We had some funds coming in, but we were still recovering from the time where I didn't have a job,
Right.
and so it was like, look, we're not going to get anything. And so, I told her, I said, look, if you say we're not getting each other for Christmas, don't you come to me 3 days before Christmas saying you done bought me something. said, because I'm not buying you nothing. I said, if we're not giving each other gifts, I'm not buying you anything. I'm not writing you a card. I'm not doing anything. Like,
Not even a
you're
card,
not
Mike.
getting anything. So
Not even a card?
Christmas comes around.
Back then it was like $3.
Christmas comes around, and she ain't had nothing. You know, and she was, when I say mad, I'm talking about she was mad. All right.
Because you ain't even buy a
And
card.
my dad, he's like, "Hey, what'd you get Brittany for Christmas this year?" I said, "I didn't get her anything." He goes, "What do you mean you didn't get her anything?" And I'm like, "Exactly what? I did not get her anything." And so he's like, "Are you stupid?"
That's
Like,
the appropriate response.
Right.
That's the appropriate
Right.
response.
It gets so much worse than that. So so we take and we get through that. You know, she's mad, understandably so. I felt bad opening my gift, but to be fair, she didn't tell me she bought me nothing. It was a surprise. Here's you a gift.
What'd
Okay,
you
well,
get?
I'm going off. I don't remember. I'm going off of. We had the agreement. We're not getting each other anything. So that's, if we have an agreement, I'm going to stick by that agreement, right? So her birthday is shortly after Christmas.
Right.
And so I asked her, "Hey, what do you want for your birthday?" "I don't want anything." So I gave the exact same speech. "Hey, just so you know, if you tell me you don't want anything, I'm not going to buy you." Because again, we're living in a
Right.
camper. Like we don't have space for anything and all this other stuff. We don't have money in the budget for a lot of stuff. And she goes, "No, I don't want anything. Don't worry about it." She understood the parameters. Like, I broke it down Barney style. I'm not doing this, you know, none of this. And she goes, "That's fine. I don't want anything." Okay. And this is where I think she probably learned that the whole not saying what you mean, saying what you want to be construed and come around the mountain and let me figure it out. It ain't gonna work because I'm too dumb. So her birthday, I didn't get her anything. So
You had a rough year, Mike.
look, we took and
You ended and started two
my
different
dad
years
asked
horribly.
me. He said, "Hey, what'd you get Brittany for her birthday?" I said, "I didn't get her anything." He goes, "I know you did not do that again." I said, "No." I said, "No." She told me she didn't want anything. Like, I broke it down, and I'm not pleading my case, but I'm like, I don't know why she's so mad. Like, I
Right.
told her this is what's going to happen if she says this, you know. And I was like, so she knew, I didn't get her anything. Well, a couple weeks after that is Valentine's Day, right? And we have never really been big into Valentine's Day. Like, we don't subscribe to that. And she told me, she said, "If you do not have a card, at a minimum, if you do not have a card set aside for me for Valentine's Day, we're getting a divorce."
I wouldn't have blamed her. I would
No,
not
I
have
don't
blamed
blame
her.
her at all.
You that's 3 strikes, my boy. You ain't coming back from that. What's funny about that though is I have a theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've in my life, different stages, I've come up with different theories for reality. So I've got the waffle theory. I've got, just dumb theories that offline I'll tell you with a waffle theory. But I have a purse theory, and the whole reason the purse theory comes in, it actually involves my little sister, and I don't talk about her often. I truly have a disdain in my life for her. That's a whole nother dark story. But before all that happened, she was young. She wasn't married yet. She wasn't pregnant yet. With her first daughter, and who just turned 18. So that's how old this story is. Mm-hmm. That's how long the purse theory has been around, and so. I'd come back from the military, I'd be on leave or whatever, and she didn't have a lot of money. My dad spoiled my sister, but there comes a point where my dad turns that ATM off. Mm-hmm. And so she was getting ready to start this new job. I'd just come back from Iraq, and she said, "John, can you help me and I'll pay you back?" Which I know as a big brother is bullshit. I'm never going to see that money again. Right. But I said, "Yeah, hon, what you got?" She's like, "I just need to get some clothes and some non-slip shoes and something else, and I'm good." Being big brother, knowing that my 2 other brothers weren't as financially stable as I was at the time, I said, "I got you. Let's go to the mall," right? So Colorado has 2 malls. They have the Citadel and the Chapel Hills Mall. One of those malls is not where you shop. It's just not a good place to be. It's a whole mall.
It's a high crime area.
Yeah. The other mall is like you got money. Otherwise, you just go to Walmart or Kmart back then.
Right.
So we hit this mall up, and we're walking through the mall, and I take her right to the store she needs to be at. She goes, I only need to get 2 pairs of pants to start and 2 shirts to start and these shoes. They didn't have hibachi coffee pots back then, but so being good big brother, I was like, no. You work 5 days a week. 2 pairs of pants ain't gonna cut that. We're gonna get 5 pairs of pants. We're gonna get 5 shirts. I got you. I got 2 pairs of shoes. Like I was like, I got you. And then we kind of went on like a little extra because I'm a young dumb kid coming back from a deployment. You know, you got hazard pay and all this other pay and all this other stuff. So you make good paycheck tax free while you're in combat zone. So I had the money to burn and nothing to spend it on. So I spent a little extra. I buy her some nice clothes and some nice shoes, some stuff to wear off. And everything that she asked for, I bought it. Get it, put it in the bag. Let's go. She looks at this purse and she goes, that's a nice purse. And I was like, yeah, I don't use purses, so I don't get this. And we keep going. We leave the store. We're driving back to my dad's house. And because ironically, we were both, like, I was on vacation, so I technically didn't live there. And she goes, can I ask you a question? I said, what you got? She goes, everything I asked for, you bought it. No questions asked. I said, yeah, that's what I do. I'm a big brother. It's my job. She goes, but what about the purse? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, the purse in the store. I told you it was a nice purse. And I was like, I don't remember this at all.
Right.
Didn't register. And so my purse theory is, as men, if you look at me and you say, I want this, my brain is going to keep that. That's going to be, nope, you want that? Mm-hmm. I got you. If anybody doubts it, ask Mike what his wife got for Christmas last year, because I got it. So, I mean, granted, it wasn't like anything fancy. It's just chocolate Christmas trees. That's the only thing she told me she liked, so that's all she got.
She doesn't like the chocolate ones.
It's the white ones, right?
It's the white ones.
Yeah, because I had to go to like 4 different stores to find the white ones, and then swapped them out with the chocolate one boxes. I took all the chocolate ones out, put the white ones in there, and then made her think that I got her chocolate ones. And then when she opened them, it was the white ones. It was funny. But anyway, so if you don't tell me what you want, if you don't specifically identify to me to register that you want it, you ain't getting it. And I've told every woman I've ever been with the purse theory. That's like within the first 2 weeks.
I think that goes back to we're a lot more objectively focused.
Right.
You know, where, you know, hey, during the holidays, hey, you're stressed out, or you're focusing on, you know, what you're spending money on.
Right.
Is it going to be a gift for this person, that person, or whatever? And if you get it where you don't have to do that, it doesn't take any attention, you move on to the next thing. And that's kind of where a lot of guys, you know, we all get in trouble for it, you know?
Right. Well, and that's the part that irritates me about the exchange of gifts between men and women is that, you know, we as guys, first off, Father's Day is during the summertime. Mother's Day, you get cards and everything else sent home from school. So Father's Day, we're in the middle of summer. So unless your wife is like, you know, hey, make sure Daddy gets a card or whatever, don't get me wrong, I don't mind new socks. I don't mind tools. Throw me a 10 mil socket any day. I don't mind the cheesy dad gets a new tie, pair of socks, and a set of wrenches or something, you know. I don't mind that stuff. But at the same time, when mom gets a new coffee maker or, you know, something like that for Mother's Day, and all of a sudden we're the bad guy, it's like, because I remember the day that Daddy got Mama a vacuum for Christmas. That didn't go over very well. But it's a thing that we have to learn to communicate to each other, that we as men, if I say, Mike, what you want for your birthday, and you say, man, just show up, that's all you're getting.
Right.
That's all you asked me for. That's all you're getting. Now, if, like this year, your wife calls me and goes, hey, there's this toolbox on sale, and I really want you to help me get it for Mike, but I really don't want you to tell Mike, I'm on the way. I got you. Something you know that I don't know.
Right.
But as a counterpart to that, if you're not okay with it, don't say you're okay with it.
Right.
Don't tell me that you're going to it's not a big deal. We won't buy each other gifts. If I don't buy you a gift, are you going to be mad at me? That's your fault.
Well, and that's where, you know, circle it back around to Thanksgiving. The first year.
My bad. I'm on this like
every single time
squirrel
you open your
thing.
mouth this show. But
so mean.
The first year we hosted Thanksgiving at our house, like, we almost killed each other. Like there's no, like, I would say World War III. There's got to be something more diabolical than that.
Was it the same 2 years you forgot Christmas and birthday gifts?
No, this is after that. We've already learned. Man, when it was a good time. Don't get me wrong.
Right, right.
But getting everything set up, like I'm in the middle of cooking a turkey. We got ham, we got mac and cheese, we got all this stuff going on. All the stuff that where you're preparing the food is cluttered in the kitchen.
Right,
you got
right.
pots and pans.
Small
everywhere,
space, no matter how big your kitchen
and
is.
For some reason, okay, I don't know, and this I think a lot of guys. I'm speaking for the fat population here. I don't know why we bake cookies prior to cooking all the rest of the food.
Stupid idea.
And you expect me to not eat on them
right
all day long. Like it's not going to happen. Like I didn't touch the pecan pie. And it's pecan, not pecan. But,
right.
I didn't touch the pies or anything, but you cook all these cookies and stuff, and you have all these desserts laid out, and I'm not supposed to touch them as I'm going back and forth doing all this other stuff. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But anyway, we wound up getting, like, it was arguments and little lightheaded stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it was just the day, like, runs the risk of getting ruined because you're so stressed out because you want it to be perfect for everybody.
You overdo it.
Yeah, you overdo it, and I think I think the last couple of years that we've done it, where it's like, hey, we're not. This is what we're doing. If somebody wants to bring something else, they can bring it.
Right.
Great, but trying to keep it a little bit more relaxed, where it's not a big stressful event. I think that's what we get. There's enough things right now that make it stressful.
Like a coffee pot, just sizzling in the background.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that make it stressful, and if we could find enjoy the holiday like that would change a lot of stuff. And whether that's Thanksgiving, whether it's Christmas or whatever.
Right. I think that's the other thing. I kind of wanted to touch back on it, but, I went down that turducken squirrel rabbit hole. I didn't mean to say the F word. Sorry, turducken. So, I 100% agree with you. If you're going to invite somebody to your house, and 9 times out of 10, there's the what's the word? Like obligation?
Obligatory.
Thank you. I can never say that word. There's that word, and they feel like they've got to offer to bring something, right? And you and I are in the same thought process with it, where it's like, no, I invited you, you're good, show up. That's all I'm asking for is your presence. And in that same breath, a lot of people anticipate that, and they count on that because they know they themselves can't fully fund that event. Right. And so I think if you're in that boat, a very important thing to take into consideration is say something. You know what I mean? Like, if it's going to be one of those, like, hey, look, guys, we can't afford to feed everybody, but we want everybody. Say something.
Right.
Hey, look, I can even, easily come back and be like, look, I can't afford to bring you a turkey this year, but I can definitely go pick up the drinks or something similar, or, hey, I don't have a lot of time to cook this. Do you mind if I just go buy some pre-made from Walmart or whatever? I'm going to bleep that out because you don't pay me for commission. So, but I think it all reverts back to the whole reason that we have our podcast is communication is the key to everything.
Right.
And you've got to be able to humble yourself sometimes or be vulnerable sometimes to say the truth about where you are, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and talk to people and tell them. And I agree with you 110%. We have gotten so disillusioned with social media that's made it easier to comment on somebody else's post and be like, oh, hey, your kids are growing so fast. I remember, 3 years ago when you put their pictures up, they weren't that big. But the reality is you don't want to go sit at that person's house because maybe little Billy's kind of rambunctious or whatever, or let's be honest, some people's kids suck. You don't want to be involved in that, so it's easier just to comment on Facebook, Happy Thanksgiving, and call it a day. And again, I think this all has to do with the way the society has changed from back in the 80s, 90s when you couldn't text.
Right.
You had to get the landline. You had to call somebody on the telephone who lived in another state to tell them about, happy holidays or happy Thanksgiving or whatever. That's another thing that I absolutely can't stand. It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. Happy holidays doesn't exist. I don't care. If you have a different viewpoint, be it your religion, be it your whatever, just accept that somebody was kind. They said, "Hey, happy."
Oh, you're talking about like
the Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays debacle
when people
thing.
get mad about it.
Yeah, it's like, bro, if so, in the military, I had a guy. He was a Shiite. All right? Actually, I think I'm saying that all wrong, but he was one of the good guys that wore a turban. I can't actually remember what their actual names are, but super nice guy.
Talking about a sheik.
Sheik, thank you. Shiites is actually something in Iraq, but they have like this long traditional history of war fighters and everything else. Like these dudes are back in the day were like serious BAs with swords and everything else. And we had a guy in the unit that super nice, and I'm like, "Hey man, Merry Christmas," and he'd be like, "Hey, whatever they celebrate, I don't remember," and it was never an issue. And like when the whole Happy Holidays debacle came out, he's like, "Bro, I'm just glad nobody thinks I'm on the other team."
Right.
He's like, "So I don't get mad about it. It's not personal." So if you're one of those people that get so upset about like, "Oh, you're offending this and that," get out of town. I don't care. Just let people be happy and enjoy this time frame of the year, because November should be your warm up. Like this should be I'm about to be thankful for all of these glorious things and my family and my loved ones and everything else. Don't let it be your downfall. Don't let it drive you down the road of like resentment and offense and all this other trash. Like
I personally use Thanksgiving and Christmas as a way of building up fat storage.
just not where I thought you were
like
going.
A bear.
You just hibernate, right?
Afterwards, I can hibernate for the rest of the winter.
I didn't see you go that way.
That's the way I do it.
No, I've always looked forward to it. Even as a kid, I always looked forward to it because I knew that we were going to get the chance to go see the cousins. We were going to get to go see, all these people. And it was always at Grandma and Grandpa's house. That's where everybody met at. Grandpa had this massive table and a kid's table. And, like, the highlight was like, one more year, and I'm off the kids' table later.
Right.
Jeez. Like, I didn't say it. I don't have to edit it. So, and now it's like, we don't have that. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that recently happened was, you and told me about a conversation you were having with Brittany about Thanksgiving and everything else, and she was concerned that I wouldn't be able to come because I didn't have my kids or something like that. And it was like, in my brain, I'm like, that's what family is. To me, that means that you care enough to actually take those things into consideration before you've even discussed it with me, And that's what Thanksgiving's about. It's being in somebody's mind and in their life enough that they're having these discussions without you present about wanting you present, and it's like that's what we got to get back to. And then we don't have these turduckens and all this weird things that go on where it's not about, who can spend the most money, who's got the most lavish stuff. Because I know our Thanksgiving last year was not crazy. It was just
that all the sheetrock was.
right. Like we were in the manger for all intents and purposes. It does look so much better. I mean, minus whatever crazy cabinet idea that Brittany has. I didn't say that out loud, but it's the small things, and that's everybody gets so hyper focused on because you're gonna see a million pictures of everybody's Thanksgiving layout and everything else. And it's like, first off, I already know you're throwing half that shit away. Right. You ain't eating all that, and. That's just it's where my brain goes, is that we've commercialized the holidays, and as you said earlier, Christmas has destroyed Thanksgiving. It's taken the commercialization of what Christmas started out to be to what it's become, and you overlook Thanksgiving because there's no presents. There's no like whatever. And when we get to our Christmas episode, like, believe me, I'm going to tell you all the crazy things I do as dad for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, because I go all out for these kids for Christmas. But I agree 110% with you. It's ruined that holiday. What did you just do with your face? Like Sabrina? No, what's that? I Dream It. Bewitched. If you think I'm not going to add a twinkle twinkle to this, like, when you do it, because it's funny to me.
Guys, I want to say thank y'all for taking a moment and listening to this episode. It was derailed about as many times.
I'm sorry, my brain was.
So my apologies for that. But I do want to say we know that it is Thanksgiving, it's a holiday. Some of y'all have the day off. Some of y'all have several days off. If that's the case, then there's absolutely zero reason why you can't send some type of email to coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com.
Right, with all that time off.
You take your time with your family, have a good time, be nostalgic.
While you're with your family, tell them to like,
pictures
share,
and
follow,
stuff.
and subscribe.
But while you got all that time available, go ahead, hit all those podcast buttons. Send us an email. Let us know what you want to hear about. The next episode is going to be a pretty heavy one.
Yeah.
You're going to kind of get back into the gear where we used to be. We're giving y'all a little bit of a break.
Trying to keep it not so heavy all the
light
time.
Things, and then obviously that doesn't work well because he keeps derailing it.
I'm sorry.
So we're going to get back on track, guys. So for now, I want to say thank y'all for taking a moment out of your day. And
No, we're not saying bye yet.
Toodaloo.
Nope, I'm going to do it. Very important. It is a holiday. Please don't be that guy that drinks and drives or ruins the holiday for everybody else.
Yeah.
All right? Because if you find me and Mike on the side of the road on the holidays.
Then it's to jail.
Not stupid. Not stupid.